It's the one thing Idaho lawmakers are constitutionally obligated to do during the legislative session: balance the budget. They can't leave until they do it. Yet here we are, 4 months after they called it a session, and Idaho is dealing with an unbalanced projected budget shortfall. It was reported last week, but now we're getting some reaction to that. And as you can imagine, Democrats and Republicans have vastly different takes on the concept that Idaho could be short by close to $80 million, only a month into the new fiscal year. So is it a time to panic, or is this just a situation that will work itself out? Here's Joe Paris.
A projected budget shortfall for the state of Idaho is getting drastically different reactions.
I wish I could say I was surprised. It's pretty shocking and it's pretty frustrating.
Senate Minority Leader Melissa Wintrow has consistently spoken out about the fate of Idaho's fiscal year 2026 budget.
This could have been easily avoided by really just incorporating well-reasoned, balanced, and common sense approaches to budget. And instead of manufacturing numbers, just look at what are the real numbers, respect the projections that come from the Tax Commission. I think the Tax Commission projected a 1% growth increase, and the legislature used 6.8. Since when do we not listen to the Tax Commission, who was doing this all the time?
A new report from the Nonpartisan Legislative Services Office shows Idaho's budget for the fiscal year is projected to be running short by about $80 million. Wintrow attributes the projected shortage to $450 million in tax cuts and credits for education spending for families wanting to go outside the public school system.
The most simple thing to do right now would be to call a special session and to draw back the voucher scheme. I mean, that's $50 million going into the pockets of folks to pay for their kids' private education or religious school. There are so many people against that. I can't believe it passed. We should just repeal that right away.
My initial reaction was not panic. I think it's important for people to remember that this is based on a forecast, not actual revenue.
Diametrically opposed in the opinion category are Republicans who believe lawmakers hit the mark, but should always keep an eye on changing economic trends. The budget report reflects recent action from Governor Little. To address the projected shortfall, he issued an executive order directing a 3% general fund budget holdback across executive branch agencies minus public school support. The report says, quote, if implemented by all state agencies, this would reduce spending by $86.1 million. That would put Idaho in the green, so to speak, plus $6 million.
I thought it was a smart preventative move because we're not sure. And the trend is down slightly in sales tax, up in income tax, though, despite a large income tax cut. I thought it was a smart preventative move. It's a temporary move and it will be determined by the legislature in January whether to make that permanent, to reduce it, to increase it. And again, we'll do that on the best available data at the time in January.
Critics like Wintrow believe lawmakers need to adjust the tax cuts and eliminate the school choice tax credit. Representative Wendy Horman, co-chair of Idaho's budgeting committee, disagrees.
I agree there's a lot of fear-mongering and finger-pointing going on. Democrats tend to look to those sorts of things you just explained. Oh, we cut too much in taxes and school choice. We shouldn't have been doing that. But Republicans tend to look on the other side of this is the people's money, and we should always return as much to them as possible.
Governor Little signed the tax cuts and tax credit at the end of the session, despite making comments earlier in the year about budgeting concerns. Wintrow believes Idaho's top leader needs to take responsibility.
Late February, when all this $400 million comes out, he says, hey, I don't advise that. If I would put it in my budget. Then a week or two later, he's signing the bills. Here come all the tax cut bills. I think at the end of session, he did a press conference he was really excited about, but now he's starting to backpedal again. So I just wish we could get a straight answer here. And I wish, I wish that he would take a little more leadership. I wish he would have vetoed that bill, quite frankly.
But Representative Horman points to Idahoans in need as a key factor in supporting tax cuts.
We need to do everything possible to give them their money back so they can provide for their families.
The projected deficit is just that, an estimate of what the end of the fiscal year could look like. Between now and next summer, numbers could improve, go south, or stay consistent. In the case that it does get to a dire situation, Idaho does have $1 billion in rainy day funds that could be used to bail out the budget.
Well, it's been a manufactured rainy day. We've been doing cloud seeding on this one. We didn't need to be in this crisis that we're in, but we might have to dip into those funds. I doubt my colleagues will have the wherewithal to do it, but they created this problem, and it is a monsoon, just like it is in Boise today. It is a monsoon in our state. There are people panicked, and there are folks that are really struggling to figure out how this is going to go.
It's not raining right now. Our economy is still strong, our unemployment's low. And so we'll monitor economic conditions throughout the fall, see where we are in January, and make determinations if it's time to pull them out or if it's time to cut additional spending. And that will be a debate. I expect that to be a hot debate.
So as you heard Senator Wintrow say, she believes that a special session in the short term would be the best way to address and fix the budget situation. I have asked around on this across both political parties. The Republican-controlled state capitol, none of the leadership there really seemed to be considering that as a serious thing. Brian, lawmakers, the Republican lawmakers I've spoken with, including Representative Horman, believe in January this will be a full conversation, and it can wait till then.
It can wait till then, according. Okay, I think it's been pretty difficult, as we pointed out, for Governor Little to run away from the statement. If I would have thought we could do $450 million, I would have proposed $450 million, which he did propose $100 million in his State of the State address. Have you heard from the governor's office about this?
Have not heard from the governor's office on this, and we have reached out previously and tried to ask about this during the session last year as well. What other thing that they are looking at in terms of lawmakers is the federal reconciliation bill, the big, beautiful bill from the Trump administration. There will be impacts to the state of Idaho. However, some of the numbers and some of the final calculations are not in yet. However, there will be a projected impact to Idaho. At this point, how much money or lack thereof will show up, we will find out.
That's the factor.